What's going on, YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition to DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're talking about DC vs. Vampires World War V, issue number 7, written by Matthew Rosenberg, artwork by Otto Schmidt, and then there is also the backup storyline. So I think last month we had kind of that little side storyline dealing with Alfred and Wonder Woman. And now we're back to kind of the main stuff here. So Darkseid had shown up just when you think things can't get worse for planet Earth and this very bleak and depressing storyline. Now we're here again. We have pretty much like... There's no real hope, I feel like, in this story. Anytime you start to feel like you're going to get something, you're like, nope, can't go that way. Nope, can't go that way. It really does feel like, what is it, the Kobayashi Maroon, like Star Trek test, where there are no winnable scenarios, unless you're Captain Kirk and you cheat your way through it. But hey, you know what? This is one of those things where it just doesn't feel like it's going to really have a happy ending. But there's still plenty of issues left. I'm so curious to know if they legit are going to get out of this thing, because there's stuff that hints to me that it's really just going to kind of have to be like, we're going to have to kind of accept that the world is just not going to get any better, because sometimes with some movies there are, and shows and comic books, there just are no happy endings, and this has been a very bleak storyline. So artwork by Otto Schmidt is pretty good. There's a lot of stuff going on. So in the last time we saw everyone else, Darkseid had shown up and was unleashing hell. We had humans and Damian Wayne on their side versus the vampires, Vampire Queen, and now Parademons. So there's now 3 factions going on with this thing. And we also find out that when they try to bite the Parademons, it basically is kind of like poison to the vampire's blood, and it just instantly incinerates them, which is a neat idea. I don't like, because it's kind of strange, because it feels like they just kind of like make up sometimes some of the rules about like what a vampire can and can't do sometimes within the confines of this series. Like, for instance, it's like, okay, you can transform a Kryptonian or whatever into a vampire or someone like this, but wouldn't the solar radiation that, like, powers them, like, kill them in an instant? Wouldn't that, like, kill the infection? No, just kind of roll with it or whatever. Or you have the Starfire thing or what going on with that too. And I don't know, there's just been so many different things, and you know what, I'm actually kind of forgetting some of the plot threads going on. But the point is, we have the 3 different factions dueling with one another. The Vampire Queen's in a bad state. Darkseid's pretty pissed off. He wants that baby of Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, and he's just going to unleash hell. Wonder Woman shows up. She gets into a fight with him, and I like how they really emphasize the size and scale of Darkseid. Like, he's just larger than life here. And you know, Diana has been going through some stuff too. Remember the stuff where she tried to have her own little adoptive daughter, and Harper Row, who ended up dying in that very depressing kind of storyline. And we have all the stuff still going on, and Darkseid eventually just kind of leaves for the time being, and he's just going to be back to kind of take care of business very soon. And in the meantime, we also have the stuff in the Sanctuary, the humans in that. They come to find out who the hooded figure is, and that is none other than Metron. And he's like, well, you've kind of made him even more ticked off with the whole, like, baby not being around thing. And Damian's like, okay, cool, so how do we stop this guy? You don't. This is inevitable. You are all going to die, basically. There is no hope within this thing. And yeah, again, more glimmers of like depression and all that, but there may be, maybe. So we have Mira going down to Atlantis and comes to find out that the baby of Mr. Miracle is still alive right there. He's like, hey, you don't look too happy. Having a bad day? She just found out her husband died. And yes, we had to emphasize the shots of her ass in there. Like, that's very important plot details, right? Artwork done by Otto Schmidt. So that's kind of the main storyline. Then we have The Hunger Part 2, written by Joey Esposito with Pasquale Colano as the artist. And this is dealing with a character who is connected to the Red, and he's there with his daughter, and he's like, oh, well, maybe this can be the key to the cure to fixing all the stuff. But then the Red's like, no, we're just going to kind of evolve. You should know better than anyone, Buddy Baker. The Red does not correct to dead things, and he's been dead for some considerable amount of time, and now the Red is kind of adapted to where animals and that are no longer kind of normal animals, they are now like vampire animals. So what would have potentially been, I guess, a cure for the vampirism has now just evolved into, okay, we're all just going to start shifting to just being the species on this planet at this point. So yeah, it's a depressing downer kind of ending with the backup, downer ending here, downer ending there. How are they going to get out of this situation? That's what I'm really curious about. So this has been a bleak as hell storyline. There's been some cool looking artwork and some epic moments within it. I still have been enjoying it, but I'm like, man, like this is it's not for everyone. I can see that too, because like, you know, I don't mind bleak from time to time, But when it gets so excessive after a while, you start to like, I gotta have a little bit of a break and levity too. It's the same thing when everything's so happy-go-lucky. Sometimes you need a little bit of the opposite, like add a little bit more grit to the storyline, because like it doesn't feel like any weight to it if it's all just fluff constantly. So, and this is an Elseworld storyline, so you can kind of like go for it a little bit more with what they're trying to do with it. But I am kind of wondering how the storyline really is going to end, because the way it's been going on for a while, I think this is going to be the conclusion of DC versus Vampires. It feels like we really are at the end. I'm getting the vibes of like when I saw Apocalypse, where it's like you are at the end. There is no escaping from this. It is everyone's kind of Doomsday in a way, without Doomsday actually showing. Oh, Doomsday. What if Doomsday shows up in this thing? I just thought about that right now. Unless he did. Do I remember him showing up? No, I don't think so. But yeah, imagine that, like that versus Darkseid or someone. That'd be kind of cool. I like to see something like that. That'd be pretty sweet to watch. Like just watching them unleash this fight or something. Who knows? Maybe that'll happen in this storyline. But I am still enjoying DC versus Vampires World War V. I'm curious to see what this baby is gonna do. Is there a DNA gonna be a cure to be synthesized? Where's the scientific stuff where they're really kind of examining the blood? This is where you need like Batman or somebody in there to examine and just try and find a cure. I mean, right, like as I'm kind of recording this thing, I've also like kind of started working on like the next like movie review on the channel. It's going to be the Batman versus Dracula, like, you know, not after the movie, like actual like written and stuff down like that type of videos is going to be the Batman versus Dracula. And in that, like Batman actually looks for a scientific explanation to try and cure these people of like the vampirism like disease. And there are some supernatural instances where you can't really like cure someone like Dracula or something, but he can cure his victims. So I'm wondering if there's going to be something like that going to happen in this thing, where they find some sort of cure for the vampirism and ultimately like save the day and find hope and kind of rebuild by the end of it. So I don't exactly know. Or this could just be just a pure downer of an ending, because that's what it's just been kind of leaning towards for me with this thing. At least with something with Deceased, yeah, there's some sad stuff that happens, but I actually felt it was a bit more of a hopeful storyline. Like you could feel that through line throughout that storyline, but here you just feel like the depressing side of it all. So still good stuff, still great artwork by Otto Schmittner there. It is a little busy at times because there's a lot of action, blood, violence going on throughout it, but still kind of cool stuff regardless. So yeah, those are my I guess that's going to be my thoughts on DC versus Vampires World War V. What do you all think of the storyline so far? How do you think the heroes would possibly get out of this situation? Because not only do you have humans versus vampires, but you throw Darkseid and Apocalypse into this thing, and it just makes it all the more like miserable and worse for everybody else. So but I'm still kind of enjoying it for what it is. So yeah, good stuff. Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit the bell for notifications, all other fun stuff. And I will see you all in the next video. Oh, also, I think we're probably going to see a human and vampire kind of like team up to face off against Apocalypse, potentially. So that's another theory I might have. But how is it all going to end? You let me know. All right, as always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.